to deal with cyber attacks. So first, of course, we have got the advanced countries who are what I call leaders in the cybersecurity field. They have got clear strategies in place and are already acting on them.
The big challenge: transparency, privacy, ethics, and laws. The world adapted to the digital medium very quickly because it offered convenience and also became the need of the hour cause of the pandemic. However, that convenience required people to share their personal information knowingly or unknowingly, which has been misused by many. You have been at the forefront of both the legal side and the rapidly evolving cybersecurity ecosystem. We would like to learn from you what kind of steps are being taken by governments to ensure cybersecurity for their citizens, and to what extent you feel these policies are in alignment to counter the present cyber threats at large.
Right, thanks for that question. It's actually a very important issue, and it's something that we've been talking about a lot as well in recent times. So focusing my remarks on the Asia Pacific region that I look after in terms of government affairs, we have observed that different countries are pretty much at different stages of building their cybersecurity ecosystems, in part arising from their unique needs and challenges, which of course differs from country to country. In recognition of this diversity, we have broadly categorized countries into three main groups according to their levels of readiness to deal with cyber attacks. So first, of course, we have got the advanced countries who are what I call leaders in the cybersecurity field. They have got clear strategies in place and are already acting on them. The second group would be the intermediate countries who have identified cyber attacks as an area they need to look into and have attempted to make some inroads. And of course, the third would be what we call the initial countries who have only just begun paying attention to this area for a variety of reasons, including perhaps, given the pandemic, more pressing domestic needs in the meantime. Don't get me wrong, these categories are certainly not an attempt to downplay the efforts or efficacy of any country at all. In fact, on the contrary, it helps us to better tailor solutions to meet the specific needs of any country based on its current level of cybersecurity readiness. So, well, we do draw also experiences and best practices from countries that are more advanced in their cybersecurity journeys, and therefore, maybe one example I can raise is Singapore being an advanced country that's been putting a lot of effort into boosting its national cybersecurity capacity. So for instance, just last year in 2021, it updated its national cybersecurity strategy, which lays out plans to strengthen the security and resilience of its digital infrastructure and enable a safer cyberspace to support a digital way of life across the broader society. These efforts are also complemented with advisories to companies and programs to raise the level of cyber hygiene among the community. So some of these are even conducted in person by digital ambassadors for vulnerable groups and so on and so forth. So this is probably a testament to Singapore's position as a leader in the region. And moving up north a little bit, and I thought I could give another example, which is Vietnam, which has also been actively improving its legal framework over the years. For instance, it established a national cybersecurity law along with standards and blueprints for government and industry. So I think, and also sitting at Kaspersky, we've been privileged to partner Vietnam in its national campaigns, including, for malware detection and removal and sort of a nationwide awareness campaign across all sectors and dealing with individual citizens in the country as well. And the results of these efforts really were reflected in the Global Cybersecurity Index by the ITU in 2020, where you would see that Vietnam was ranked 25th out of 194 countries in total, and fourth out of 11 countries. So that's quite a lot of progression there, and I think that's again testament to the efforts that have been put into this in this area. So a key focus for Kaspersky is enabling countries in the intermediate category who are building up their cybersecurity to move up to the advanced group. And of course, this includes identifying and talking about the gaps in infrastructure or skills, and then developing a clear strategy to fill those gaps. It's really, honestly, it's not an easy conversation to have with countries, leadership, and all that, because it's very hard sometimes to identify where exactly these gaps are, because sometimes people just don't know what they don't know, right? So, I think, and I would want to maybe, for instance, give two other examples from within the region. Both Indonesia as well as India are on the cusp of releasing their national cybersecurity strategies and highlighting the importance of the issue, particularly with the recent spike in cyber attacks and data leaks around the world as well. It also speaks to the challenges of integrating nationwide efforts into a cohesive plan to get stakeholder buy-in and to manage disruptions from the pandemic. So I'm really waiting with bated breath to see what these national cybersecurity strategies might entail. And of course, working very closely with these governments as well. We've had the privilege of coming alongside to provide some expert views where necessary and where invited. So in parallel to releasing their strategies, of course, we've noticed, that India and Indonesia are both making great headway in building the cybersecurity skills of thousands of government officials and companies in critical sectors. And we're pleased to have been supporting some of these efforts to build cyber capacities as well. So against the backdrop of everything that I've sort of painted, and I thought that could help set the tone and the context of our discussion today. Pandemic, geopolitics, government organizations, critical sectors, and all that being natural targets for a whole array of cyber attacks. It is pivotal for countries to really build cyber capacity and continually update their knowledge and skills given the evolving landscape. And such progress, of course, we all know, does not come about in just a day or overnight. It's a product of many people chipping in, long-term efforts by the central government and local authorities to formulate sound legal and policy frameworks, coupled with, of course, decisive action on the ground to protect the national critical information systems. So my final point, really just also wanting to tie back to your very specific question. Yes, there have been steps of varying extents taken by governments, depending on their levels of maturity or states of development, to ensure a policy framework is well in place to enable cybersecurity for their citizens, for their enterprises, for their industries and sectors. But to me, that is not the end of the problem. Being able to align policies to counter present day cyber threats is not enough, because new cyber threats are emerging every day, even as we're speaking. As our CEO, Eugene Kaspersky, had said recently, we discovered about 380,000 new malicious files daily over the past 12 months in 2021. And this is reflecting growth of 20,000 compared to the previous year. Yeah, so it's a continual effort to design and adapt policies to ensure their alignment to counter the ever-changing cyber landscape and to handle new threats of tomorrow.